tell you sometimes. I get this all the time, oh, the social worker said this, and they're not giving you the full story. If the child is medically vulnerable, okay, by parents refusing to present or make the child available for health care, medical intervention, okay, that could put that child at risk of significant harm. So finish, please, because I did not interrupt you when you were talking.
Yeah, okay? Go ahead. Go ahead.
So if that situation happens, if that child is medically vulnerable, if there are medical conditions, so by you as a parent preventing your child accessing the right medical intervention or medical care, yes, that is neglect. And they will prove it to you. And it will be proven, because it's about what is the best interest of the child. It's about the safety and well-being of the child. So this is your behavior. So what is it, the impact of your behavior on your child? Yes, you have the right to say yes or no, I don't want this. By doing so, are you putting your child at risk? So these are the things, some of the things that needs to be explained to the parents. And I'm sure they explain, but sometimes the parents are preoccupied with, oh, this is my right, the legal right, fundamental human rights. Everyone has rights. No, there's no doubt about that. But where you have a minor involved, then you make it a state, a business. So that's what happens. So that is a difference.
What if,
I'm not saying it's
just a quick question. Just a quick question. There's this the issue around about male child, African male child, receiving this MMR vaccine and having some developing underlying issues. And there's a fear in people going ahead to take that vaccine, but nobody is taking a research or looking into this. And I can share a lived experience with you. So if there's no underlying medical issues at all, and parents considering the information that this is ongoing concern in African community, they are having it for the black child, girls, nothing happened, but most male child is developing some medical issues following receiving this MMR scan vaccine. And people are fearful of taking this. Could this lead to referral when there's no underlying condition? On what ground? On what ground?
It depends on how you communicate, your wishes and feelings as a parent. It depends on. So let's say, for example, I have a child, with no underlying medical condition, I can choose. That's my choice, and say, what, I don't want my child receiving this V.
So what would be the explanation there?
I don't want, this is my choice as a parent. Okay. My child doesn't have any underlying health issue. Okay, and what I'm saying to you is that sometimes, what you hear is half-baked story. Parents don't tell you all the stories. They don't. Everything that you hear is about the social workers doing this, social worker doing that. Social workers are guided, by rules, by policies and procedures.
It's excellence.
Under the Children's Act.
It's excellence. Yeah. Are you a professional?
I'm a social worker for 25 years, and I'm a manager. Yeah.
Oh, good. Good. Because this platform is to educate and enlighten people, and we have been bringing a lot of concern issues. Whenever we need to praise social worker, we praise them. Whenever we need to cut things out, we cut things out.
Your platform all the time. You have Mommy Star, Lady Joyce.
Mommy Joyful. Yes. 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 Yes.
Come to your platform. Yes. I just listen sometimes because I'm so busy.
Because people need to know.
Sometimes it's frustrating the way they talk. I know there are some lousy social workers that are not doing their job properly, but sometimes people come to media and what they say about social workers is saddening sometimes.
They have
I don't know what we go through, to save children, to save families sometimes.
Some local authority barristers have referred our page to courts on many occasions. They have even summoned us to court, asking us to remove some videos where these videos are the true cases that we even have case file for it. You know what I mean? So we are trying to push that good practice out there for people to have basic understanding and knowledge of how it works, so that whenever social service comes to their doorstep, they will welcome them in a good heart and they will let them know we are here to listen, we understand, we appreciate, but please treat us fairly, no judgmental, no bias, double standard, fair treatment, respect. That's what people are asking for. Miss B, take a mic. You talk about you have a views submission around MMRV.
No, my standpoint was, if the mom does not want to have, if the mom does not want the child to have the vaccine, she's within her rights. Now, if you have a child with a medical condition, especially when you have anything neurological with the child, personally, vaccine this is my opinion. I'm not saying mothers need to do it. I'm not saying parents need to start doing it. That's not what I'm saying. But my opinion is they need to stay away from vaccines. I have seen what vaccines have done to children firsthand. These are children that were walking, they were going to school at the age of 3, and they deteriorated to a point they're bed bounds. So that's my opinion. And if a social worker turned up and said, oh, it's a form of neglect, I'd like you to prove it to me.
Madam B, blessing. We are going to ask some questions here now. So,
yeah, blessing is here. Hi, my darling.
Excellency. Now we've got a parent that is so concerned.
I've only got 2 minutes now because sorry about that.
Just a quick one. We've got a parent that has booked for this MMR scan vaccine V, but she's fearful. Honestly speaking, she doesn't want to take it for her child, but she was worried that could this be draw the attention of social services. What advice will you give to this person?
Okay, like I rightly said earlier, if the child doesn't have any underlying health issues, okay, it's not mandatory. By refusing, it's not automatically, gonna mean it doesn't mean that the child will be subject to child protection investigation. No, I'm not saying that. So what she needs to do is to work with a social worker. If she doesn't have a social worker, work with a health professional, maybe the health visitors. I don't know if the child of school age, the school nurses, just to work with them and say, you know what, I hear what you're saying, I understand, but I just want you to understand my side of the story. I do not want my child. I'm choosing, I'm opting out of this. So that should be respected. So long that by doing so, it's promoting, it's not putting the child at risk. It's not putting that child in a vulnerable situation. So that is the only thing. But where the social worker can evidence, it's not just the social worker. Everybody talk about social worker. Because we don't work in isolation. We work with health professionals. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a nurse. If I'm going to provide any evidence in court that is relating to anything health, relating to health, I will be relying on my colleagues, the doctors, the nurses that will provide me that information. Because I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. So, so that is a thing. So we don't work in that. So the evidence is a combined effort. So if she can turn around and say, you know what, my child doesn't have any medical condition. I hear you. I'm not comfortable with this. I want to opt out. And that should be fine. It should be okay. Everybody has rights. So that should be okay.
Thank you very much. Ezurike, if you can come up, you said sound good, yeah, but if anything happens later, it will be as a point against you later. But what if parents now that they've gotten it for their boys and it's something, their health deteriorated, their health affected, the good speech, they lost the speech, they have seizure, they have epilepsy, they diagnose things after that, shortly after that. Would there be health body that want to take a research and take views of parents?
You know what? Let me tell you, the person that put that comment, the person was right. Okay, let's assume, as a parent, I decided, no, I don't want to take, I'm going to opt out of this, V, and should anything happen to that child in the future, okay? So there was an investigation, maybe child protection investigation or any criminal investigation. we would have to complete an assessment using the triangle. You look at the health, you look at the parenting capacity. The health will talk about things about, aspects of vaccination, how your engagement with medical professionals. Yes, that person is right. It could come back, because that could be used against the parent.
Yeah,
So
we
that
know,
is
we
the
know,
pros and
we
cons that
know,
you need to think about.
we know that could be used against the
It will
parents.
be used against the parents under what ground?
Miss B, wait a minute. I want us to
I
get.
think I've explained it, Ms. B,
Yes.
No, you haven't.
Wait a
I didn't
minute.
hear what the grounds were.
Miss B, wait a minute. I just want to get this cleared. It is acceptable that it could be used against parents. But what I'm asking is, there are parents that they don't want to take this MMRV, but because of fear or worries or concern like this, they have taken it, and it has deteriorated or one way affected the child's health. Why this is not taken against the system?
It's again, you know what? The parents can, if they have enough evidence, strong evidence, medical evidence, professional, proven research, you can use it. But I know it's going to be emotionally draining, I mean, if they have to have a very strong legal team and all that. But if they have the strong evidence, I don't know how much.
Ezeruke, please come up. Ezeruke, come up. He said, my child took it and have slow in speaking, even forgot the ones she knows. This is so sad.
I believe there are some impacts. Yeah, it's having some impact on the children.
Oh, it's not only your child as well. I have it as well, lived experience, and I've made it a point of note to the doctor in charge, but they put it in record. They have not done anything about that. So we need to start talking about it. A lot of people are suffering this silently. They don't want to speak out about this.
And also, some schools would not take your child. They would not admit your child into their school if you can't prove, that they had all the vaccines. So that's what somebody is written there.
Within 48 hours, that child has seizure. I've never before. The languages is very perfect, excellent, but now it's deteriorated to the extent that
oh wow.
It's evidently
serious research needs to go into this. Serious research
and
needs to go into that.
And honestly, the episode of seizure becoming frequent, like before you know, they place it on epilepsy medication.
Oh my God.
So we need to talk about it. It's affecting African.
It's the same story I'm telling you. This child was actually going to school, perfect child. Now the child is bedbound. The child stopped walking. Actually, it stopped with the talking. It stopped touch. The child is bedbound. When I say bedbound, the child cannot move the head unless you move the head for the child. This is a child that was walking and going to school.
So if parents are living in fear, this is not going to help the system. So parents should be able to speak up their mind, but please don't cancel the appointment by phone. Email them. Let them know your worries and your concerns. If they now
just communicate your feelings, just communicate it.
Sorry?
I said just communicate. When you speak to your local GP or your if there's an appointment, just call them and say, you know what, thank you for giving me this appointment, but I'm at this point, I want to opt out of this appointment, and my child doesn't have any underlying health issues, So I think that should be straightforward. I don't think that should amount to any child protection investigation at all.
Like I said before, it doesn't amount to that. But when you try to speak to doctor surgeries about your concerns about it, they actually gaslight you and make you feel like it's a delusion in your head. There is no surgery that is actually going to accept that these are your beliefs, this is how you feel about it, and that's why you don't want it for your child. A lot of surgeries would make parents feel really. I've seen a pregnant woman that refused a vaccine and she was threatened. I have seen a CNS resp nurse that's threatened a mother with safeguarding because they didn't want to leave the hospital and the child was really sick.
I think it all depends on the local policies as well. We have a national.
It's not a local policy. People have adopted this behavior of
you don't know about every local authority policies, do you? You don't know, because I don't know about every local authority policies. So they have their local policies as well. So we need
local
to think
policy
about
says threaten the mother with the safeguarding.
I'm not saying that. I did not say that. That's your words. I did not say that.
But that's what I'm saying to you. That's what they're doing.
No, I don't know. It's not. I mean, threatening any parent is totally unacceptable. Our job is to guide and support. You know, threatening is something that I don't think is appropriate. It's not in anyone's best interest.
And that's why this woman is very worried because of that. Because there's already has been a threat that if she doesn't do it, they're going to get social services involved.
And why can't she seek legal advice on it? You know, she can seek legal advice on the matter. Yeah. The lawyer can write to them. You know,
how many people have the money?
Well, we have CAB, don't we? Well, we have, you know.
Even to raise concern, they see you as like rebel, like they not come for you. People don't want to free to even speak up. They don't want trouble. They see them as troublemaker when they raise concern.
That's why it's important. A community like yours, you need to instill confidence in people, you know, so they can exercise their rights, know your rights, and making sure, you know, make sure that you're doing it appropriately, and you're not breaking any rules and regulations. That's what I say. You know, work with the authorities. Don't work against them, and you can stand your ground. You know, on things. Yeah, you have rights. Everybody, I have my rights. I don't joke with my rights. You know, so I mean, threatening people is totally unacceptable. That's not something I will condone, or you know, or it's totally unacceptable. So I'm sorry if any parents have felt that way. You shouldn't be that way. No, it's totally unacceptable. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So
I'm gonna go now. Sorry, I'm gonna go now. Sorry.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you.
Meeting you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. If anybody wants to share views, if you are worried, you are already concerned about this, please speak up, ask for help. Don't die in silence.
I'm just going to put this disclaimer on your platform. Anyone that is worried about anything to do with social services, message me.
Oh, okay.
That is a very sensitive topic for me because I've seen doctors, I've seen nurses, I've seen consultants threatening mothers because either you don't want to take a vaccine.
Remember the one we did in Durham last time. Remember exactly. The Durham case study. Remember the Durham case study.
Yeah. And like I said to you, when you have all these cases, the first thing you need to do is you need to see the case that is being filed against you. Make an application for subject access request.
Exactly. No the information shared.
Produce that document. They can edit, but you can see if it's been edited.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Good afternoon. See, concerning the vaccine stuff, see a lot of parents, like, they are disturbed on it a lot, and I happened to burn through a lady that complained that a 1-year-old daughter, she answered to her name before, but when she received the vaccine, she stopped answering to her name. I've seen like 2-3 cases, and it's related to the vaccine. Do you know
Titi, can we stop calling it that?
Okay.
Because it looks like we're doing a propaganda against it. So call it something else.
Okay, thank you. So most cases, and if you try to like talk to the consultant about it, they will say, some of them doesn't give it to their kids. They don't. I've seen a nurse that said she doesn't give it to her 3 kids. It's connected, and they're just trying to, because this thing is just, it's not happening where we come from. All these things, it doesn't happen. It doesn't, and it's hurt so much. Imagine you seeing your child, like a child that you you carry for 9 months, and seeing he or she grows, while she's growing, the child is normal, very okay. But as soon as that thing was injected, he or she stopped responding, And when you try to talk to them about it, there was a lady that said she insisted, and I don't know if it's GP or I don't know, said, and the GP that threatened her was in Nigeria. He started telling her that if you don't, we're going to report you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You're trying to endanger the child. You don't have to tell us what to do. You must get it for her. And she said no, she doesn't. He said it was a serious threat. Like, why? I know what is good for my kids, and you can't tell me that, okay, because I didn't take this, that will lead to a death or whatsoever. Kids that have given these stuffs, did that stop them from not getting what they said? Okay, I think you understand what I'm saying. I don't want
yes,
to.
yes.
100%.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Let me just shed light on what you're saying. Remember during the pandemic, how many people got preventative measure? A lot of them did. Did it stop it from happening? It didn't. You take me to court and scientifically prove that the lack of that thing has contributed to where my child is. Take me to court and prove it. Guys, we need to stop being scared. We need to stand up for your rights.
Yeah, take a mic.
Okay. Let me just make it brief. I don't really want to be talking about this anyways, but so 2023 when we came in here, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
Before we came in here, my child was at least speaking little by little, one words and all that. So we took the thing. Understand? We took the
yes.
Yeah. So at that time, she even forget the ones she used to say. Understand? She totally forget everything she knows, and then she start acting like as when you come outside, she will be like running, like when you it's like when you just release somebody from a prison,
Like being aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes. That's another level.
Like she's aggressive.
Yeah, that's
like she just want to be running, So at the time we started visiting doctors. They even tried to diagnose it to be autism and all that. No, but based on my wife is somebody that is in medical line as well, so she refused to accept that. Understand? So at the time, and when you are here, you can't. The fact is that you can't fight these people. You understand? You cannot prove them right, because you know that is trying to prove them right. You don't have the fund. You have a lot of things you're thinking. You'll be stressed when they follow you up. You understand? So at the time, we decided to take the child back home. We agree. We know what it took us to take a child back home. So is that when we will not take the child back home? So she's supposed to take another one. I think the last one. I think that's one they used to take during 3 years. Before you make 3 years, I think. So, but the child was not here then to take the last one. So at the time, she started picking up back home. She spent up to 6 months trying to pick up. Understand? But now, if you see the child now, she can speak very well. Everything just changed with prayers and every change of environment. Everything changed. You understand? So I don't want to say a lot of things here because I know here we have people that can be listening and all that. But what I'm saying is that I'm one of the witness. You understand? Because there's nothing you can tell me now that that used to speak. Suddenly, after taking something, she just forget everything. You understand? So when we try to go through the medical, the visit hospital to ask questions, they try to refer us to the saying that it's autism and all that. So, but we refuse to believe. So the only advice I used to give people, when you notice that, instead of you fighting them or instead of you going through it, sacrifice the time, take the child home, let the child start early and start picking up, change of environment and everything. The child will definitely reverse. But when you say, okay, let's manage, then the next stage you give another one. Before you know it, the child cannot be able to pick up again. You end up going, the child would end up going to all this autism school and all that. And you cannot fight them. Let's just tell ourselves the truth. We cannot fight them. Because you don't have the resources to fight them.
See, Mr. Ezuruki, do you know that if you had accepted what they diagnosed, then that's it. That's just it. If you had accepted it when they diagnosed what they did, then that's the end of everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying now. If you accept, that is the end. But we never accept. That's what I'm trying to say. We do not accept. We not even, as my wife don't like to hear that thing. No matter who you are, you don't even like to accept that fact. You understand? So we know that we cannot fight it here. So the best option is to take the, if you see, go to my page now, you see the child. You understand? You see her, you see how vibrant she's very smart now. She can write very well, she can even speak very well. But this is a child that used to say mommy, used to say one or two words. Now suddenly they forget everything. So what how can I stay here and manage and start proving? I cannot prove it because as somebody that just came in here, you have a lot of things. Your plan is to just move ahead, try to pick up, try to settle, and all these things will be happening to you. So how will you go back and start fighting? You cannot be able to fight now. You cannot do it. Even if you have supporters, my brother, you cannot do it alone. Even if the whole people, the whole Africa support you here, cannot still win it. So it's better the earlier the better you change the environment for the child. Even if you win it in the future, what about the child? So that is the thing. That is all I have to say. I don't even advise to stay here and manage.
See, also, Save the Woman. I don't know if anybody knows. Should I call the guy? Is he a poetry or a writer? He's on Instagram, Solomon Bucci. He has a son. He said he put it out there that he needs more information and more knowledge on this thing, and it's just normal conversation. If you know you're sure of what you're doing and you read, you have the knowledge about what you practice. A guy put it out to you that someone should explain, a good medical practitioner, explain the relationship between this thing, and they started throwing shades at him, bashing him, stuff like that. And he came back out and said, I really need an explanation because these reviews I've been seeing here and there is scary. Can someone please explain to me, as a parent that is scared for something to happen, but they will never explain it to you. Rather for them to explain it to you, they'll change it. Like they'll just tell you you're putting the child at risk.
That's the point. Like when I started commenting, there was a lady here who said SLS or something like that. She said this one. If you don't do it, let us mean they accept that you don't want it at the moment. What if something happened tomorrow? They will not go back and said you deny this one to the child, you deny this one. They will use it against you.
Augusta, for them to use that against you, yeah, they must have medical evidence of which no one will be in a position to provide that. Just because it was missing, it's like saying you missed a meal. Okay, put it the easiest way. It's like you have an infection and you've taken your antibiotics and you've missed one. Who will know? Listen, if you want to get to a point of arguing it the way she was, just say to them you need more information about it. The information that they provide, because they will always refer you back to the NHS website. You just go back to them and say to them, the information that's not there is not clear enough, or I don't understand it. Simple.
Well, I always thank God that
there's this a similar case. Miss B, I don't know whether you are aware of that case. The Durham case study.
Yeah. I listened to almost 3/4 of it. And
let me look for it.
Save the Woman. I'm gonna DM you before. Let me message you now.
Yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk.
Let me just message.
People are living in fear. People are living in fear, and it is
It's
the
not
reality.
necessary. That fear is not necessary. Trust me. When you had one somebody that came on your live and was saying that he's been a social worker, and the way he spoke, I felt like my skin was just cringing. How much money am I being paid for me to be sitting there and be listening to your case, this, that? If they do this, we're just going to send the child. I said, and you're proud to even come on a public platform like this and speak about people's children like that, like you're talking about animals.
Now, any local authority that has the highest number, that is what we are going to go for. You see, we've talked about Bournemouth, we've talked about Darlington, we've talked about Rochdale, we've talked about Sheffield, we started with Middlesbrough. So today we are talking about Durham. So without wasting much of your time, I'm going to invite our guest to start a kind of brief introduction, because it is only when it happens to you you get to know this. There are families that are telling you that, oh, it can never happen.
The one thing is that there are people that have social graces and they don't recognize that.
Because people are working with the A4 sheets.
Some people are, if you are not, you know, you are a social worker, you know what is all it takes. You know that, oh, you can, nobody will still refer you are a manager, you are this, you are that. So that might even have influence on the way you've been privileged. But there are people that they are not within the system, and people are taking advantage of their ignorance. Even if they know things, you can't fight them. You can't fight them. Just imagine you are just a mom struggling, single person, nobody to even discuss with whether you should take this child for this or not, whether you should accept this or not. You are just battling this on your head alone. You can't say you always fight for your right, you always stay for. If you don't have that social graces, can you?
There are families that are telling you that, oh, it can never happen. Who born them where? Why person go take my children? Please, it can happen to anybody. English councils need £4 billion to prevent widespread bankruptcy. MP says. You can see. And not only that, lawyers raise alarm at struggle to tackle UK local government council expedition, corruption, public fund. This is a public fund. And many families will be paying higher tax now. The tax will be increasing now. Some of the local services will be cut short. And there's a report that says social worker, their hands are tied. However, their option is to go to court. So we are providing this support now, a kind of early intervention support, so that we will prevent and minimize number of children that needs to go to care or child protection, safeguarding concern. So without wasting much of our time, let me bring on our guest for today. Hello, madam, are you there? Unmute yourself. Durham case study, that's where we are talking today. So, yeah, thank you very much for being courageous to come on live today. I know many families are waiting to hear from you, because we need to come together as a community, community, especially migrant community that you are thinking of, living alone. Please, you can't sustain alone. You need a community. Without wasting much of our time, we just want to hear from you. How was your experience with Durham Children's Social Care?
That's my little baby there. So I first just like to say that I want to give all glory to our Maker, the God of the Bible, Yahuwah, and I'm very grateful to be here. And so my experience with Durham Council has been that of a very hostile, toxic, and just overbearing. Hostile, toxic, and overbearing. Unwilling to hear, very willing to, very negative, wanted to overpower and take over people's lives. And that's been my experience. And it's been a very trying time as a result of these things. And as you said, I think it's so important that people arm themselves, equip themselves with knowledge, and they know what kind of system we're in. Because I didn't think that this what's happened would ever happen to me or to our family. And so it's so important that we equip ourselves with knowledge and community as well. The importance of community, agreement, and support. It's needed. It's needed. We can't be an island. We have to have support. We have to have people praying, people who can come and stand in the gap and be there for us. And organizations like Save the Woman are doing that.
So if you are yet to subscribe, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with your loved one. And if you want to register for our courses, please look at the comments. Click on the comment and make sure you register to be empowered. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'd like to say that our story or this journey began when we first moved to Durham. So upon arriving in Durham, so I'll say that the person who lived in the house that we currently lived in Durham, she and her family, she packed up her family and moved out the day before we moved in, and she left all her stuff and just left. And so the day we moved into Durham, we put our stuff in. We're like, what kind of person just leaves all their stuff and runs away? And so the next day, I had a knock on the door, and it was a social worker, and I was just like, who are you? She was like, oh, she was holding presents. It was Christmas time. And she was holding presents, and she was like, oh, I've come with presents for your children. I was like, you can't be talking about my children because I've just moved here yesterday. And then she was just like, oh, she hasn't told us she's moved. And she was talking about the woman who had previously left there. So that happened when literally the second day when I moved in, and I didn't think anything of it. So fast forward to last year, I was pregnant. I gave birth to my youngest son. I gave birth to him in June. And so he was born. He's a happy, strong boy. I mean, he's wonderful in every regard. But he wasn't gaining weight as much as they would like. I mean, in every other respect, he's a normal baby, just not as big as they would like. And so I went to see a doctor. I had a health visitor come in, and she would weigh him. And then she was like, oh, we want you to go see a doctor at the GP. I was like, fine. So we went to the GP, and it was a lovely Asian man, and he was just like, some because of how Black people are, some Black people, their babies don't grow like how is expected. And I was like, thank you, because he's breastfed like my other two children. I was like, thank you. This is confirming to me. This is what I needed to hear. And so. Yeah, and so I left that meeting and I was happy. And then they weigh him again, and they're like, oh, it's not enough, you have to go to hospital. So I went to the hospital, and, the doctor, and this is the same doctor that I've dealt with throughout this whole situation, the doctor was like, you must comply, you have to listen to everything I'm telling you right at this moment. And I was like, what, we're parents, we're individuals, we've had a doctor tell us that, our baby is fine, he just, over time, he'll go at his own pace. And I was like, no, you must comply. And I remember hearing those words and thinking, this can't be right. You can't just say, I must comply because you say something. And, me and my husband were like, you know what? We're going to go home. You can call us back and we can converse. And he was unwilling, and they made a social services referral. And he said so many malicious things on his referral. He said wicked things, very wicked things. And so that was when we had our first ever interaction with social services. We had them calling and then arriving at the door saying that, they've had multiple referrals and they need to investigate, open a section 47. And this was the point where I was directed by a wonderful sister in a very wonderful sister, and I still thank her to this day. We were directed to save the woman. And in fact, actually, it's funny because they were supposed to have a strategy meeting, and this was before I'd met Save the Woman. This is before I told really anyone what was going on. And I remember they said they were going to hold it at a specific time of the day. And I remember I went on my knees and I prayed, and I was like, this meeting cannot go ahead because I don't know what's going on. Things felt like they were just completely going over our heads, just barreling forward. And I prayed, and then I remember like 20 minutes after praying on my knees, I remember I got a call, and the woman was like, oh, the meetings has to be cancelled. We changed it to next a few days from now. And I remember within those few days that they had pushed the meeting forward to, that's when I got in contact with Save the Woman. And so I spoke to them about what's been happening and what's going on, and how, you know, my son is perfectly normal baby. This is my third, and he's a perfectly normal baby, but you know, they're concerned about his weight. We're happy to work with them, but we don't want to be forced to do things under threat of social services. And so, you know, they came into the house. They saw the home. Obviously, my elder two children are very, very smart, very lovely. You know, they saw the home. There's books everywhere. You know, we pour into our children. They are our legacy. We give them everything they need. And so they came in and they saw the house, and you know, it was
Now I'm looking for people with faces.
Let's keep tapping. Let's keep tapping.
The better. Look at how pronounced these
they need. And so they came in and they saw the house, and you know, it was very stressful, you know, because they come in, it's like someone just kicking down your door and saying, you have to prove to us that you're okay. You have to prove to us now. And they're just like, who are you? You know, some of them don't even have children. The main social worker that's dealt with me and my children, me and my family, she doesn't have children, you know, and so she's coming in telling you what is right, what you have to do, and she doesn't even have children of her own. And so that happened, and you know, my son was still gaining weight. He's always been gaining weight, just not at the rate that they want. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, they don't create life, and my son is strong, walking now even, but you know, doing everything a baby his age should be doing. It's just it wasn't gaining as much weight. And so they opened the case, and you know, I remember we called Brother Olelekon, and he told us, you know, it's okay, everything's going to be fine. We're going to see what they do. We're going to see what they say. And after 2 weeks of the case being opened, they closed the case because we told them we're not going to work with them. We don't consent to working with you. So they closed the case. So then my son, he was gaining weight. I was going to the pediatrician, and mind you, I was still dealing with this very wicked pediatrician. I mean, someone who's on a power trip pediatrician. And I remember it was horrible to be at the whim of someone who will just dangle social services in your face, because I truly believe that in Durham, social services is so heavy-handed. They are in everyone's lives, and they are. And I think up there it's the norm in Durham. It's the norm to expect social service involvement in a family. So they closed the case, and I'll take my son to get weighed at the hospital and stuff like that. And so I remember we went again. He had gained weight, but not as much as they would like again. Okay. And I remember the man said, that's okay. He said, I'm gonna tell your social worker. And I'm like, I don't have a social worker. There's no case open for our family. So saying you're going to tell a social worker doesn't make any sense. There's no social worker. And he's like, no, I'm going to tell her. And I was like, what do you think this is? I'm not a child. You know, we can work together, but you don't need to threaten us. And this is something we've maintained with these professionals. Sorry, this is something we've maintained with these professionals, is that if you want to work with us, don't threaten us with social services. Don't keep us under threat, because that puts our guard up. We don't want to work with you. We're like, why are you treating us like criminals? And so, you know, he said he was going to call social services, and at this point, everything was boiling up, and I was like, my spirit isn't feeling right. My spirit isn't feeling right. And so, you know, I was thinking of ways, what am I going to do? I started to think, you know, maybe if I go down to my mom's and stay there for a bit, and, you know, she can help with my elder two and stuff like that. And so I So I'll just do it in the sequence of events. So imagine it was Monday. So on Monday we had a knock on the door and there was 2 police officers, and I was just like, me and my husband were like, what do you want? Like, what are you doing in front of our door? Because obviously the social services case had just closed, and now we have police officers at the door. And we're like, so what do you want? And they were like, oh, someone said your daughter was assaulted. Your eldest daughter was assaulted. And we need to come into your home and we need to talk to your children by themselves. And we need to see you. And we're just like, what do you mean? Like, so what? Someone, who said they were assaulted? What are you talking about? And they were like, no, we need to see them. We need to see them. We're like, okay. They came in. They looked around. They looked at the children. They recorded my eldest daughter. Obviously, she's very articulate. She was just like, I love my parents so much. I mean, this girl, she's such a beautiful spirit. I love my parents so much. I love my family. You know, they left there saying there was no concerns. And so what had happened? So on Monday that happened, and on Tuesday I was supposed to have a appointment for my son. But what I had done is the week prior I had called and rescheduled that appointment because I knew it was getting too much. I needed more time. I needed a break. I needed support from family. And so I called them to reschedule the appointment for the following week. And so obviously something on their side didn't go through because the doctor called me, the pediatrician called me and was like, you missed your appointment today. Why didn't you come to your appointment? And I was like, no. I didn't miss my appointment. I rescheduled it last week. And I was like, no, you didn't reschedule it. I'm calling social services. I'm telling social services. And I was like, you need to stop right now. What do you mean you're calling social services?
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Many parents want to take a best decision in the best interest of their child, but they don't have that free will to do that because someone somewhere can use social services to threaten. The social worker needs to start telling professional colleagues that are using service to threaten people that they should stop this. They should stop this. Not that parent doesn't want to work. If they didn't know that social services can intimidate people, why would they be using social service to threaten people?
So I have a good social worker that I work with, and he's in the habit of telling professionals, so this is hospitals, schools, if you do a safeguarding for a child, the first point of contact is the parent. You're supposed to speak to the parent and explain why you're doing the referral, if it's for support or if it's for concern. And what she says to professionals in her meetings, and I've verbatimly heard her saying it, she says, if you do not tell the parent, I will give the parent your name and the details of the referral that you've made. So she's been iced. So a lot of professionals don't like working with her because she does that. But professionals have also realized that when they use social services, then parents are going to feel intimidated, parents are going to feel some type of way and comply. I have heard a CNS say to a nurse to go and tell a mom, if she's not out of the hospital by 6 o'clock, they're going to call social services on her. So the mom had to abandon everything and start packing up her kids to go home, only for them to get home and get picked up by the ambulance that night.
So the colleagues need to understand this situation.
No, social services are the ones that need to put their foot down. It's social services that need to put their foot down, because say I have a malicious intent and I report Save the Woman and I say, oh, your children are being mistreated, your children are being, they're automatically going to pick it up. But if we start having conversations and telling these professionals, I will talk to the parents about you, who made the referral. That changes the dynamics.
Okay.
Stop right now. What do you mean you're calling social services because I changed my appointment? No, you didn't change your appointment. No, you didn't change it. And luckily that morning, a letter come through the door that had the changed appointment on it. And I was like, look, cut this phone off right now, send me your email, and I'm going to let you know that I rescheduled this appointment. And I sent him the email, and he was like, oh, you did reschedule it. And he was like, well, you need to come in straight away. And I was like, you know what? I can't come in straight away. I'm at my mom's. I'm at my family home. And he was like, well, you need to he was like, no. You need to come and see me right now. He needs to be seen by me. He needs to be seen by me. I was like, you know what? Let me call you back and then we can have a discussion. And so at that moment, because I knew everything was getting too much. I mean, the police were at the door the day before. You know, a lot was going on at that time, and there was so much pressure because I wanted my child, my youngest, to grow, obviously be healthy, and he is. But I wasn't allowed to. I was being belittled and, you know, stepped on, basically. It was heartbreaking. I remember I got off that phone with that pediatrician and I said to my husband, I said, we are leaving. Me and the children are leaving tonight. We are not staying in here any longer. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, tonight I am packing our stuff and we are going tonight. And I remember thinking, like, I cannot stay here because obviously it's a bit of a long story, but upon living in Durham and our experience in Durham, it's been one of, you know, a lot of strange things happening. The way people act towards Black people, you know, people like to think, oh, racism is not a thing. It absolutely is a thing. And the way they talk to you is not always overt. You know, they're not always saying, you know, N-word or shouting in your face, but the way they interact with you, the biases they have, it's not nice. It's not a way you want to live. And so I remember I told him, we're leaving tonight. We are going tonight. And so I originally planned to go by my mom's, and my mom they all went at the house. My mom wasn't at the house. She had planned for time and was somewhere else. And I remember thinking, so what am I going to do? And this is why everything was planned. Everything worked out by the grace of the Most High Yahuwah, because I had this wonderful sister I'd been talking to. I mean, I met her we started speaking during my pregnancy, and she was, you know, we prayed together. She was really supporting. I mean, she's such a beautiful sister, and you know, so we had been talking the whole time, and you know, she told me, oh, she has a spare room that she puts out sometimes. People stay there for a bit, and I remember telling her, that's great, you know. And I remember that night, and she lives in London. And I remember that night, I was like, we don't have anywhere to go. I booked a ticket to my mom's place, but I was just like, my mom's not there. I booked a ticket before I even spoke to my mom. So I was like, she's not there, so what am I going to do? And I was like, you know, I'll go to London. And I called this wonderful sister, and I was like, I know you have your spare room, and I know you've been supporting me. Is it okay if me and the children come tonight? And she was like, come. And I'd never met this woman before, never. I'd never seen her before. We've spoken on the phone, never seen her before. And I arrived at her house at around 11 p.m. with my 3 children, and I saw her, and I knew in my spirit that she was blessed. I knew she was blessed. I knew she was okay, and I felt safe and comfortable. And so we arrived at her house, and she was just like, you know what? You need to eat. You guys are here. Take some time, get yourself back together, and you can deal with these people with my support, and you can be in my home for the meantime. So I was like, okay. And the pediatrician from Durham, he called me and he was like, you need to take the baby to a hospital tomorrow. And I was like, okay, I'll take him to a hospital. We went to the hospital, and there was a mix-up, so we went the next day again, and you know, he was weighed. The nurse who weighed him, she was like, oh, he looks normal, he looks okay. I was like, thank you, you know. And so we went home, and so those things happened, and it was just, I was in London, and he kind of seemed like he was backing off, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll deal with the pediatricians in London for the meantime. And I wasn't sure exactly when I was going to go back to Durham, but I was like, you know, I'll probably go back to Durham sometime coming up, and you know, we'll re-engage with this stuff, but I needed a break. And so that was okay, that was all fine. And then it was a Thursday, I believe. It was a Thursday night. Me and the sister, we were actually, I think we were starting to write a complaint about that pediatrician that we we're going to give to the NHS. So we were sitting there talking, laughing, writing, whatever. And I got a call from a random number. And I picked it up and I was just like, oh, hello, who's this? And he said it was about 9 p.m. And he said, oh, my name is so-and-so, I'm a social worker, and I'm here with a few police officers outside your door, and we're about to kick down your door if you don't give us your children right now. And I was like, sorry, what on earth are you talking about? And he was like, we've gotten a referral from a pediatrician in Durham, and we're going to kick down your door and take your children because he's raised some significant concerns. It's okay. He's raised some significant concerns. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not, first and foremost, this doctor knows I'm not in Durham, firstly. And secondly, what do you mean you're going to kick down my door? This has never been an emergency situation. This has never been a situation where, you know, they're severely worried about him. It's more so just monitoring his growth and seeing what pointers we can change to help him grow better. And so when I heard that, I was crying, screaming on the phone, saying, "What do you mean? You're about to kick down my door?" And so another advocate that's been helping, because she specializes in health issues with social care, I called her and I was just like, this is what I've just received, this is what I've just heard, what should I do? Because they wanted my location. I was like, I'm not disclosing exactly where I am right now, because the way you've showed up to Durham, I don't want that to come to my wonderful friend's house. And so me and the advocate spoke, and she was like, you know what, just present yourself to the hospital, they'll weigh him, they'll check him over, and then we can have a discussion, and then we can see what's going on, because she wanted to mitigate them. She didn't want them to enforce powers, or she had believed that they had already enforced certain powers to do what they were doing. And so we got on the phone with the social worker and we told them, look, we're going to present at a hospital, and we'll do that before midnight, and we'll have our youngest weighed and just checked over, and then it can be established that he's okay. So we get to it was a Friday, I believe. It was a Friday. Oh, no, it was a Thursday. So we get to the hospital, and when we get there, you know, we weigh him, and I was just really upset. I mean, I was just so upset because, you know, coming down to London, I didn't expect this to happen. Sorry, I didn't expect this to happen. So we went to the hospital and we got him weighed, and we just like to the nurse, does he look okay to you? We were like, does he look okay to you? And she was like, yeah, he looks like a normal baby. And I was like, that's great, because, you know, it's okay. Okay. And she was like, oh, well, like, you know, that's great. So just 1 second. Well, like, that's great, because, you know, the doctor, you know, things that have happened and the way I've been treated by this pediatrician is not okay. Can you just...
So we see all these things. So if you are still living in fear, please, enough is enough. It is time we all need to speak up. CJO, Blessing, Nurse Lissy, Miss B, we want to round this session up. It's about this fear around professional using social services because parents are making decisions in the interest of their children. So enough is enough. We are going to be pushing more for this discussion around this refusal and the possibility of system using it as neglect for family, against family. We need to be talking about it. Anything to contribute? I want to play music. I want to change this topic. We are going to tell them on any behavior, enough is enough, very soon. Don't worry. Okay, so thank you for joining. Thank you, everyone. Please, we need to share this widely. Let more people know about this platform. It's to educate, enlighten, and empower family. We know there's always a consequence for people speaking up, for us standing up, but this will never make us to stop. We will continue to do more and be on your side for the best interest of every child.